Well, we might get this in one take, or we might get it in two or three or four. So, I was going to follow up from the report of a week ago, or about a week ago, about that Vraylar conversion to Vraylar, or transition to Vraylar, the third generation antipsychotic from the aripiprazole, the Abilify, and how my back's doing. Well, I found all along with the way my back was doing me, with the scoliosis that developed from the aripiprazole, has been pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point to me and to the professionals I've discussed my health history with, and how I didn't have as a child or before the Abilify was added 20 years ago. So in that period of time, it's corrupted my spine, and I'm not real happy about it. But what I'm even more not happy about is when I see my bald head in these videos. I'm looking at myself on the screen over there. I see my bald head. I had hair 5 years ago, even. Abilify is also known to cause extreme hair loss. And the risperidone I take mainly that causes hair loss, but this Abilify causes extreme hair loss too. So, and compulsive behavior, like I said, I was coming on to communicate compulsively, but I want to talk about my aide was here today. My home aide I have through the Ohio Agency on Aging, and I want to dispel some myths about that program people probably have, that it's not just because you're old that you get that, and you just get your place cleaned. And it depends on the aid you get. They're all different. They're just over the when I turned 60, they were diagnosing me and starting me in this program because they knew I needed help because I was in searing pain. So anyways, what the aid was talking about today now. So I've had different agencies, providers, different aids, and a few really, really, really excellent ones, and so the current one is like very electromechanically inclined, and we have a pretty interesting time working on these elaborate contraptions around here and what needs done around here. But but anyways, we go for my walks as part of the physical therapy prescription for my back condition that was caused by the Abilify, we know now, but there's no pull on my spine anymore like I reported last time. I still feel that there's no pull on that, but I did determine that today that I didn't have back problems today because I took a 7.5 milligram Flexeril the night before I went to bed, and the night before that I didn't take one, and I had a horrible day the day before, but my back pain all day from starting up the day up, and to the next night when I took the next Flexeril, I went to bed. So I'm lighting up on the Flexeril because I told the physical therapist I think that it's loosening my muscles too much and my bones are running together too tight and it's causing too much pain in the back spinal condition. I got the X-rays recently and I was talking about that, but so walking with the aid was fine, but there's less pain walking, but it's less pain overall, but the lower back muscles or bones are still out of joint, or I can they want to move and do different things, and I have to crack them and lay backwards on the bed sometimes, or just stand upright and straighten up, and they pop in my lower back, and my lower back is where the problem is now. It's where it's been all along, but now when I see the X-rays, I understand why. So. So it looks like perhaps I'm thinking maybe in 6 months or 9 months or a year, 3 months even, it might make a difference if we keep the walking up with the aid. But the prescription, the physical therapist said if you're getting a third day with the aid, do a third day of walking. So we'd go for as long as I can go, which believe me is not far compared to what people consider walking. For people my age, well, I don't know. I'm a senior citizen now. It's a felony to assault me in Ohio. That's a law, I understand, in Ohio. Senior citizens over 65 or older. But anyways, what else I want to talk about? Well, here's my electric cigarette I'm reaching for. I found in my pocket. I'm going to hit this. Usually it stimulates my thinking with the schizophrenia, too. It's clean. There's a clean. I've explained elsewhere the way it's vape and safe and vape and not. Well, I was going to point out the hair loss. Yeah, it pisses me off the most. But the back condition, how do you rationalize that to yourself? If this happened to you yourself, you would have a severe like, what the fuck problem with this? You make a commitment 1 year because you're an illness you have to commit to taking medication every day for the rest of your life, and then 20 years later you find out it's caused like covered in my case curvature of the spine called scoliosis medically. So that's how are you supposed to rationalize that, man? There's nobody you can sue apparently because that must have been known, and they have to hide facts before you can sue for it. I mentioned the Abilify lawsuits were about something else. There were two lawsuits actually, by two law firms, 2,400 claimants in one, 2,100 claimants in the other, and neither one are taking one of their clients. Where Abilify was said to they withheld the information that it made people compulsive when it came to four things. It was what was it? Gambling, shopping, eating, or sex. But I found it made me very compulsive about communicating with people, needing to talk to people, and at a compulsive rate, rapid speech. What do they call that? Oh, rapid speech. It's not called rapid speech. There's another. I just saw the word a week ago. I forget now, but I don't make it a point to learn stuff I look at and necessarily understand myself. But so my aide sees me most of the time. And the only person who sees me in a week's time. She's here 3 different days a week, 4 hours, and she says she notices a big difference in me on this new medication changeover. How calmer I am and less shaky and just less agitated, and uh, her word is good. She's a good one of the better ones. But she's really novel around here, quite frankly. I mean, when she figured the furniture out when we rearranged the place, and so anyway, she's good to me. She treats me well, and I respect her. And we get things done. The things I need to get done, I need help with. I just don't want to understand the paperwork anymore. So all these years of paperwork, I'll be in my condition. But well, and what was my story? If you contrast and compare who you see today on these videos, even if I talk radical and crazy stuff about LSD and stuff like that, but that was just in the 1960s and 70s what was going on. I was a student up in the 70s, growing up when I was young in Florida at the time, Tampa, Bay Area. But anyways, so life has took me on a journey ever since those days. Because of the diagnosis of schizophrenia when I was a senior in high school in Florida. And it just, nobody knew really because I didn't have any friends. I just a few buzz buddies, and nobody else knew about it really. And so I finished high school and graduated and went to college a few years and worked my own, paid my own way, and never was on assistance and on medication, of course, at the time that caused the devastation to my nervous system that I take the Estato for the tardive dyskinesia, which brings the nerves to the surface of my skin again. I can feel them on the surface of my skin. It burns it away from the surface of your extremities, your hands, your feet, your face. That's why I grimace so much and don't smile so easily. The nerves are there now. If I have a reason to smile, if somebody gives me a reason, I can light up my smile with my face, but like anybody else. But I'm not familiar with how to do that because I missed out on that till just the last year. I had been on this medication this calendar year, 2024. So it's been titrated up to the maximum dose, and I got the full benefit out of it. But then the Abilify was acting as a neurological irritant in my system, neuroantagonist, and neuromuscular antagonist, causing the scoliosis. So it's gone now. And the need to move around so much, that's another medical word I didn't learn. But I read the definition, moving around too much. Can't sit still or whatever they call it. But Maybe I had some of that, a little bit compulsive like to my nature, compulsiveness, different ways that I don't have now. So that's because there's a change to Vraylar, another third generation drug and the psychotic that doesn't do this like the first third generation drug, Abilify. So I discussed this with my psychiatric practitioner, and she agreed, and we tried it. Now I'm experiencing these results. So it's all an experiment with mental health, schizophrenia. Anyway, I'll say that anyway. I can speak for that illness, living with it, lived with it, and its fury in my younger years, between 1987 and 1994. Those were the two worst years. But so, anyways, that's in my book, In the Grip of Paranoid Schizophrenia. Third edition is the one to read. I think that's a better version, best version, boiled it was like two stories in one. And so it just, the final mental health version is the third edition, In the Grip of Paranoid Schizophrenia. You read that, the front part of that book, to the middle, the system of delusions I was caught up in, and how hallucinations were preceding them, causing them or whatever, I mean, so it was really weird. Like being in a movie, I'd said at the time it was like, but I don't have nothing like that going on around me now, perceptually, and I haven't all along, but and I had nothing now at all, whatsoever at all. I mean, what you can even quasi call like thinking that way or something, But so I have a clearer mind on this new drug, and not that my mind wasn't clear before, but I was so agitated, about everything, I mean, because after all, scoliosis was caused by the aripiprazole. I knew that. I discovered that this year, and so how long was this getting to be? 12 minutes. I didn't want to make something long. I had points to make. What were my points? So the aid program. So well, yeah, she helps with things, and I get my exercise in that way, and I walk as far as I go, and then she goes the rest of the way to get the mail or the laundry, and I'll make it up there while she's folding the laundry. Be out back, rest up a few minutes, I can go more and more, but that's why I don't go anywhere, because I gotta suddenly stop right where I'm at and sit right there, or very nearby, and you can't just do that in public. They don't accommodate for disabled people, or because they'll have loiterers. So screw it, I sit here alone. It's really fun. Let me get my lumbar pillow straight here, man. It makes a difference on my back. But I had to get those in the process of understanding what's going on with my back. And then I find out it's from the drug I was taking for 20 years, prescribed, and nobody told. So this is the part of the legal issues involved, There's nobody to sue, because who would you sue? Because the American Psychiatric Association knew this. The National Institute of Health knew this. National Institute of Mental Health, the National Institute of Health.gov or whatever, they have articles on this. And I presume the FDA knew about this too. What the Abilify causing scoliosis is just a small percentage of people, though. But it's a certain specific drug combination between the risperidone and the Abilify 2 that's a profile that I fit too. So, but the problem was, they knew about this, but they didn't disseminate the information to the practitioners who write the drugs, for the people who take them, So, WTF, I mean, that's wildly fluidy or something, I don't know. But, so it's screwed up, man. I mean, how would you feel if it happened to you? Like I said in the other bit, as far as part of this, if it happened to you yourself. You take a drug for an illness you have, and you need the drug, and you seem to be fine on it for years. Then you find out 1 year later, 20 years later, that it's destroyed your back, like in my case, or caused you some other pain and suffering for years and years to come. Probably it might get better now. I'm hoping it seems to be easing. It's going to be probably. I realize good days and bad days, but then again too. I since the first video, I tonight's videos. I took after the first video. I realized my back was tightening up, and it was 24 hours later after since I had the last Flexeril. So I took a 7.5 milligram Flexeril again. And so I feel better now sitting, and I'm leaning here a little bit I'm leaning to the right now. I usually just leaning to the left. Aren't I leaning to the right? Yeah. I'm watching myself on the screen over there. It's backwards. But these movement disorders, I discovered these in the process of studying what the tardive dyskinesia treatment was. Tardive showing up later, dyskinesia, involuntary movements caused by antipsychotic drugs. When you stop using them, and you go berserk with involuntary movements, shaking and tremors and things like that, that resemble, like, I don't know what diseases, but anyway, I understand schizophrenia and what it did to me, and it's in my book, In the Grip of Paranoid Schizophrenia, 3rd edition, is the mental health version. It's not 2 stories in one like the previous versions that were just irrelevant to the real mental health story involved in the case. To that date of 2018, August, I think it was published, republished again as 3rd edition. But if you compare the person in that book and who I am today, you'll know you're talking to 2 different people. You just... there's no video cameras those days. They're hard to find, and big and bulky and expensive, and so I never had those to really play around with. But I did one video I made. Someone let me a VCR, a video recorder, and I made a psychotic video. I could probably sell it, but as original. But I contained somebody else's music I was playing in the background, thought I was that person back from the dead. I'll say that about my story in the Grip of Paranoid Schizophrenia, 3rd edition. So if you relate to those delusional paranoid delusions and precipitated by hallucinations of what I was seeing around me, wherever I went, whether it was here, down the road by the reservoir, in the middle of the night, in the moonlight or whatever, and so it's quite a journey I've been on, sure, but so I ended the last video not saying I'm here alone and I seem like a bitter old man, but I look like a bitter old man. I had hair 5 years ago, man. It pisses me off when I see myself on the back of my head. It's going, I look like, what the fuck, I mean, it's caused by these drugs I've been taking all these years to stay sane. It's supposed to be legally totally insane if you know who I was or how my story goes. But but there's nobody to sue because the people who knew about this stuff causing scoliosis. Well, see, the 2nd generation drug that made me well, I was waited for 15 years, hoping a 2nd generation would make me well. I was 20 years altogether before it made me well, 19 actually. But the pronounced difference in 48 hours was remarkable. There's another video on here somewhere celebrating 25th anniversary. This is the 30th anniversary this time of year, this next month, November, but 2024. But so it was 1994 in November when I was in the hospital and got on that fought them with a grievance to get the right medication because it cost more than anyone would give it to me. And the catch-22 was nothing else worked. So they had to give it to me, and it worked. It was remarkable. There was a 25-minute interview conducted by a social worker, assistant director of social work at the time, who came with her husband and interviewed me for my 25th anniversary. It was tagged as my name and 25th anniversary, and she conducted an interview with her husband, and then they took me out to dinner. It was really wonderful. But anyways, I'm thinking fondly of them now. But and, so I can't really see the time on that little tiny square over there, window over there, box on that screen. Even if I blow it up all the way, it stays small. Sometimes I don't know, but so my back is like feeling better, but it's like since I took the Flexeril now, it's like letting up on the way it was on the spasm and going to pain out of place and stuff, and just it, so I don't know. The doctors haven't weighed in on this yet. I've fed all the information through the physical therapist specialist. So when that report was going to be due, I haven't checked lately to see if it's in there or not. But so I don't know what's going to happen there, but what they're going to end up doing. But I feel better on this medication change, and so they didn't tell anybody about this. The prescribing doctor who wrote this didn't have know to watch the gauge for the correlation between starting on the aripiprazole, the Abilify brand of Abilify, and for movement disorders like scoliosis going on in your curvature of your spine and stuff. You know how you move and present yourself, or So I don't know. We didn't know. I noticed the pain started about the same time, but nobody knew it was connected. So nobody told anybody it was connected. The fucking problem. So who do you sue? The FDA and the NIH, the National Institute of Health, and who else? The American Psychiatric Association. Who else is there to blame? They didn't tell anybody about this to gauge for it. So the drug company apparently made it known that it was doing that, but so they knew this, and they didn't tell people who write the drugs. What the F is what's wrong with that, man? Tell me that answer.